Today we're going to talk about what makes a great movie villain and what makes them memorable as well. So for starters, let's go with bad villains, such as Kylo Ren, General Zod, Joker from 2016 movie The Suicide Squad, and Ronin. Usually with bad movie villains, they're cliché, for one thing. They're black and white. They usually have one side to them. If you look at Ronin from Guardians of the Galaxy, he is very evil and he is very straightforward with what he wants to do. But then you look at Silence of the Lambs, perhaps, or No Country for Old Men. What makes them different? It's their plot-driven experiences, and it's also the acting itself. You believe these characters and it makes them intimidating. More so, not with their words, but with their actions. If you look into Silence of the Lambs, you can see his eyes, they just stare at you. Same goes for No Country for Old Men, where he is in that scene where he's talking to the man with the coin toss. He's just having a regular conversation, but his tone in itself is what brings the villain so intimidating. Also, a bad villain is they don't have a threat, or they don't appear to be threatening. They need a good reason to fight the hero is another aspect. They don't match the hero is another one. And the complex story. If the villain has too much of a complex story, the viewer usually does not care. Even with the new film of Joker in 2019, the Joker has a somewhat complex story, but it's pretty straightforward actually, and you can follow along quite well, and you understand his actions somewhat of why he's doing what he's doing. Some attributes to make a great villain is strong motivations. Another one is traits of being fun and likable. And sort of, you can be on their side a little bit. Even in Inglorious Basterds, the Nazi who is hunting everybody has a personality that flips on a dime. Sort of like bipolar in a way. Sorry if any of the bipolar people out there, but he does have a side to him where he flips. You don't know if he's just having fun with his job or he really loves his job, which he seems to. He has a personality where you could be friends with him, unlike his personality per se. And also another example would be The Dark Knight. Everybody loves that Joker, and why is that? It's his personality. He's having fun with what he's doing. Even though it's all chaos and evil per se, he seems to be fun to be around. So you want some relatable traits, or traits that are fun in the words that they say or their mannerisms as well. They have to be fun to watch. Another attribute for a great villain is obsessions. Such as, what is their main objective? What are they obsessed about? They don't have to be OCD perhaps, but other traits of obsession would be their main goal that is driven through the whole film itself, such as The Dark Knight, where the Joker wants to show Batman that they're actually quite similar, even though they're different in what they are trying to do. Make them relatable. Even though they're a crazy villain and they're hardcore at what they do, they can still be relatable in some aspects, such as personality or even the way they talk or the way they move and in all that jazz. They don't have to be relatable in every aspect, just in some mannerisms. Not in all occasions, such as There'll Be Blood or No Country for Old Men. That is a straightforward villain, and you understand that they enjoy what they're doing, even if it's manipulation or it's the way they do their job per se. Another aspect of creating a great villain is how determined are they with their trait? Are they obsessed with what they're doing perhaps? In No Country for Old Men, Trigger kills an innocent man, an innocent woman, and several other people just for knowing that he exists. He wants to be a ghost within his realm of reality. And they also have to be persuasive with their words. In The Dark Knight, when the Joker talks to Two-Face, he actually convinces him to turn evil. And also in Inglorious Basterds, the bad guy is talking to Brad Pitt, and they're talking about terms and conditions. And he's talking about his perspective of why things are. If you want to add that, go for it. You can also utilize the essence of villain as in Jaws for a great example. That is a large fish and it does not talk, but you can understand that you only see it every so often. Even in the first Halloween, you see the villain every so often. that is another great way to show the villain as well. I believe in The Dark Knight, you only see the Joker for maybe 20 minutes at a time, for 20 minutes throughout the whole film. But that is the most remarkable thing about the film itself. Even in The Silence of the Lambs, you only see Hannibal Lecter for maybe 8 minutes total in the film. I'm sure that's not correct, but you get the idea. Throughout the 2-hour film, you only see the villain for a split aspect of the film. What makes them that concrete in a movie? It's their action, it's their tone, it's their personality, it's their relatableness, it's their performance as well. Just keep that in mind. What makes a great villain? Flip the stereotype. Make sure it's not that cheesy. If you expect the villain to be completely evil, flip the stereotype is another way of creating an evil character. Flip the stereotype is another way. Flip the stereotype is another way. Look at Skyfall. Another thing that you want to do is flip the stereotype, such as Skyfall, where the main villain is a homosexual and also very brutal as well. And he's also having fun and he's trying to relate with James Bond himself, such as The Dark Knight. You wouldn't expect this main villain to be so personable and so fun, until you later see in the film how chaotic and crazy he actually is. Just flip the idea of maybe you don't know how evil this person really is. And also with villains as well. You can think about There'll Be Blood movie. In There'll Be Blood, that villain in that, he doesn't have a mask, or he doesn't have a crazy character looking outfit going on. It's just his personality is very evil and it's very egocentric. So he's very different in the aspect of your typical villain. He's in it for himself and for the money. So flip your dime on what type of villain would be. Even look at Fargo for an example. Those villains are comical and you can laugh at what they're doing. Well, not per se at what they're doing, but their personalities itself until they actually shoot somebody or do something evil. They are likable in that sense of their personalities per se, not what they're doing. Take away boundaries, such as The Dark Knight again. He wants to destroy the city, or even Batman Begins where Scarecrow wants to destroy the town with the hallucinogen. Take away boundaries of the unexpected for your character. Show physical and mental scars. If you want to show physical and mental scars, think of the Joker from The Dark Knight for physical, and mental, think about the Joker from 2019. Those are mental scars. Think of Silence of the Lambs for another villain that has mental scars. They have a personality of something happened to them, or they're maybe a complete psychopath or sociopath. They have a motive of why they're doing things at times, even if it's a dark philosophy, such as The Dark Knight, where he believes that chaos is driven the world and everybody is inhumane. Make the villain likable and persuasive, such as in Inglorious Basterds. The way he speaks and the way his personality resonates with whoever he talks to. Even in the beginning of the film, he is quite likable until you see his true actions. You want to make sure that they're clever with their words. If not their words, their acting. Look at No Country for Old Men. That acting was brilliant of the main villain shooter. And he didn't really say much at all. It was just with the way he walked, the way he perceived himself, the way his mannerisms were. That is a great way to make your villain more dominating of the screen. And also, by the way, with shooting a villain, make sure you do different camera angles, such as with Silence of the Lambs. When they're talking to Hannibal Lecter, he's really up close, and then Clarice is back and far away. And you can also utilize simple camera techniques of putting the camera higher and shooting down at somebody that the villain is talking to. Have a strong connection to the hero is another one, such as The Dark Knight. He is persuaded in a way of he believes he is the same as Batman. Another one would be in Thor, where the villain is of course the brother, but also he has a strong background of what he wants to do, such as he wants to take over his father's reins because Thor is taking over everything. So he wants some trophy of what he's doing. He's actually a good person in a way that he is honorable of what he deserves. Make them relatable. Think of the TV show Dexter. Even though he's a serial killer and quite scary at times, you can see his personality intertwines with how he can relate to other humans, or his day-to-day life of understanding other interactions with other humans as well. Make them relatable, maybe even in their personality as well. Don't make them a flat surface of just crazy and over the top. Even though Harley Quinn is crazy and over the top, she is still fun and relatable in the way she has fun in her words itself and her actions. She's always playful with whatever she's maybe doing. Demonstrate a duality, or show humanity. You don't have to do this. I wouldn't suggest this too much. All the great villains I have previously mentioned, such as The Dark Knight, There Will Be Blood, Silence of the Lambs, they don't show too much humanity. In Silence of the Lambs, the other films like Hannibal and Red Dragon, you see some humanity, as in he has a connection with the cop that he's talking to, such as Clarice. In other times, the villain is straightforward with what they want. The main idea of a great villain is they have a strong reason for what they're doing, such as The Dark Knight and No Country for Old Men. They're on a mission and they're determined to get it done. And that mission has to be something that is relatable and a good cause in their mind. And also, you understand their idea of why they're doing what they're doing. Even in the Joker 2019 film, it is a horrible character, but you understand why he's doing some things. And you feel some remorse of why he's doing, or the way he is, per se. Of course, it has to follow a character arc a little bit. With the character arc, again, it makes the character not so flat. You don't have to also bring them into a good-hearted person. There is example of the Thor villain. He is completely evil, and then he becomes a good character in the later Marvel universe. Another thing for the bad character is plot-driven. Is the character just doing its job just because of the plot? That makes it really bad for the viewer itself. They won't believe that the character has these actions, and it won't give them a little bit of a background of why they're doing it. They're just placed in the movie itself. Even look at Seven. Seven has a great example of what a perfect villain could be. You have all the examples of why he's doing it. All the sins that he is against, with being highly intelligent with the Bible and so forth. He believes that all these sins are reprehensible and needs to be judged. He is the judge and jury of all of his victims. So you understand that villain quite well, and it makes it quite scary since he understands his actions, but he does not care. That's all I have today for what makes a movie villain fantastic, or great, or scary. Please leave on the comments down below, like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what is your favorite villain, and why so. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye.